Hey, it's Biddy Penny. Welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. Happy Saturday, or happy whatever day it is when you're seeing this. Just hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. So, welcome. We are going to have some fun today, you guys. We're going to have just a whole lot of fun. I'm going to give some people time to jump in, and I'm going to find uh, my video. I'm going to try to rein it in. On Saturdays, I usually try not to limit myself to um, 1 hour or something because I don't have to necessarily, but I am going to try to rein it in. We'll see. We'll see how this all goes. All right, I got a few things on my desk. I can see a few people are here, and I'm so thankful. All right, let me find the video and say hello before I jump in. Hey, Miss Vicky. Hi, Jennifer. Hey, Natasha. Hi, Paula Kay. Hey, Carrie Rhodes. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Catherine. So good to see y'all. Okay, today, just so you know what we're doing, I am going to show you tons of ways to smash a 6x6 paper pad. So we're going to take this oldie. I've never even used it. I just took the seal off of it. But I might grab others. We'll just see. I can't guarantee that this is like the only paper pad that we'll use, but we're going to just do a whole bunch of projects. I have some fun ideas of how we're going to smash some of these 6x6 paper pads. So that's the goal of the day. But before we get there, my new Bella Grace came in and I've been reading it. I know I make fun bookmarks and then I just grab a scrap or whatever, but I've been reading it and I wanted to share it because this is going to be something that we use in one of the projects that we make with our 6x6 paper pad today. But Bella Grace, if you're unaware, is a really beautiful publication. It's a quarterly magazine that's put out by Stampington, and I just love it because it's really just kind of about like soulful mindfulness, and it's about embracing like the simplicity and the beauty of our everyday moments. And I am on a healing journey, you guys. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm pretty sure I am either developing or I have an autoimmune disease that I don't know yet. I mean, I've been on and off with lupus diagnosis. It's like sometimes they test my blood and they're like, "Yeah, you think you have lupus," and then they test my blood again. And they're like, "Nope, you don't have it." So like, I think I'm teetering on um, an autoimmune disease. And I heard such a powerful podcast this week by Mel Robbins that was all about autoimmune disease. And the thing I took away from that is food, rest, movement, and mindfulness. So I already knew I needed this, and I subscribed to Bella Grace this year. So all of 2025, I'll be getting the magazine. Anyway, so my new one came in and I'm super excited, and we're going to use it today in our project. Not that I'm going to cut it up. I'm not cutting it up. I don't ever cut up my Stampington magazines. But we're going to use it as a resource. The other day I was talking to you guys in my live and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have an art book in my post office box. I need to go get it." This is the art book. Y'all asked if I would share it with you, and most certainly I will share it real quick. Now, I love reading stories. I'm a bit of a storyteller, and I had the best high school art teacher that a girl could ever ask for. Um, she was going through and getting her master's or doctorate. I can't remember which one. And she was just amazing. I appreciated her then, but I've appreciated her throughout my life. Mrs. Strickland, shout out. And anyways, she turned, like, I've always loved art and I've done art my whole life, but she taught me about art appreciation. It was a big part of what she taught. And we always had to learn about the artist. We had to do biographies on the artist, and biographies are like some of my favorite books to read to this day. I love reading people's stories. But I picked up this book because I feel like this is the storytelling behind art. And I think by reading through this, it'll make me more mindful as an observer. Um, and it'll help me dive deeper into pieces. So this is over 500 of the world's greatest works of art, and it's called Art Annotated. It's by DK Publishers, and it goes like all the way back, you guys. Like to the beginnings, right? To the earliest art forms that we have to this day. And then flash forward, it goes, to modern times, which I really appreciate that, with some of the greats, of more modern era of the greats. And then it does have another thing I really appreciate about this book is it has the different artists and a short biography on each one, so that you know their lifespan and just the tiniest bit, like their origin, like where are they from, and just tiny biographies about the artist behind these works, which I think is amazing, and I love that about it. Sometimes we have to love the art and not the artist. And that's another reason why I really like this book, is because you can get wrapped up in the art without getting wrapped up in the artist. For example, Picasso. Since I was a little girl, I've loved Picasso. As I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, he was a train wreck. And I think we can always kind of relate to stuff like that. But what's really cool about this book is, so this whole book kind of looks the same in its setup, which is something I also appreciate, is that it has a very formulaic setup. So it has a piece of work. Okay, I've actually read this one, so let's stop here. Shearing the Rams. This is Tom Roberts' oil on canvas from 1890. It gives you the dimensions and everything, where it's kept currently, well, in the printing of this book, where it was kept, but it's an Australian piece, so shout out Diane. And it gives a little bit of information about the work, and then it digs in and it tells all about these different elements of the painting and what they meant. And then I love that it gives like perspective. It's hard to show, it's a big book. Down here it talks about like this little tar boy who's right here in the painting. It talks about was based on a local girl who created atmosphere by sweeping dust around the shed while Roberts painted this picture. It's just very insightful. And I got this book so that I could learn to look closer and learn more about the stories that are told in the art and the meaningfulness in it. And also just about like, this does give other things about like shadow play, the pinks and the reds. It deciphers art in such a beautiful way. I love Lautrec. And so this was the book that I was so excited about that was in my mailbox. And I just spent a whole week reading and going through Japanese prints, woodblock prints. So yeah, this is the book. I'm so excited about it. I got it for a really good deal. It's supposed to be 50 bucks. I got it for 20 bucks on Amazon, brand new. So if you're interested, if you're into art, you want to know more about art, if this looks like something you would be interested in, there it is, art annotated. I just think it'll help me and where I'm at in my journey. Okay, and it's right up my alley. You asked for a flip through, Beth. There it is. I'm glad you're here for it. Hey, Mama Juju. Hey, Debbie Trap. Nope, I'm just getting started. Hi, Gladys. Hi, Teresa. So good to see you all. Oh, good, Jennifer. Yes. Diana's fun. Oh, you did stained glass? Oh, cool. I've only done a little bitty, it was an art class, and we did like a 4x4, and I was like, yeah, cool, but too much. Well, I'm glad you're catching it live too, Miss Terry. It's so good to see you. Hey, Desiree. Okay, let's just dive in and let's start smashing some 6x6 paper pads. Your girls got them, so let's do this. I have quite a few ideas. Now, this one's really thick. I'm just going to grab a few pages. It's fine. It's a Pink Fresh. It's really old. Like, don't go looking for it. It's a really old Pink Fresh. Okay, so this is a thick one. She's thick, and I've got a few ideas. So obviously, you know, cards, things like that. But what about different sized cards and cutting down card fronts? Well, one of the things that I did with my scraps the other day is I cut down a bunch of ATC cards with my scraps, and I'm just kind of keeping them off over to the side. And when I have, let me show you. When I have pieces left over, so I was making, I gotta tell the whole story. See, I am a storyteller. I was making these two cards with y'all earlier this week, right? And I had some leftover pieces kind of out on my desk. And I decided, oh, let me just turn that into an ATC card. So baby, it's cold in winter. And the little girl's holding her baby, you know, it's just a fun way. And like, I never would have thought this paper with these things, but because I just already have them kind of chopped up and put off over to the side, I can just grab one and make it whatever I want it to be. So you could definitely, if you're interested in making ATC cards, they're a whole lot of fun. There is a standard size like for ATC cards, and that is 2.5 by 3.5. So when you cut these out of the 6x6 paper, you're going to have scraps, but let's just do a few. Let's do a few ATCs. I just want to give you a lot of ideas. Like, Vicky, you smashed 7 6x6 paper pads. That is crazy and awesome. I'm very proud of you. So I'm going to take this and cut this down to 2.5 twice. And I'm doing that because I want a nice wide strip. So this is going to be a scrap. And we're going to have another scrap too. So then we're going to also have this as a scrap. And this is 2.5 by 2.5. So this is really nice. You know, you can hold on to this scrap and it would just, you could stamp a sentiment like on a 2x2 square and have matting layers, and then you have an ATC card. So from one 6x6, we're going to be able to get a few of these things. we're going to be able to get 2 of these squares and 2 ATC cards and a scrap. That you could do a lot with that scrap. Let's do it again. It's really important if you're trying to get the most out of your paper that you kind of follow the order of this. So what you might want to do is grab a journal wherever you keep your notes. Take down some of these measurements. I sometimes have really good intentions of coming back and sharing them with you guys, and then I forget to. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to make a quick little note for myself in my journal that I can even reference later. So that's what I do. I have a journal that's just full of notes and measurements and ideas that I might have. So, you know, I recommend you make one or you get one. Let's see, I'm gonna have to go further back here. Let me go further back here. So for example, we're gonna do at the top, smashing 6x6 paper, woohoo! And ATCs. It's gonna be our first item. And we're gonna cut at 2.5. And then for the first cut. Then cut a second piece at 2.5. Then rotate and cut at 3.5. I just make myself some little notes, and then at the you can even draw yourself a little picture. 2.5, 2.5, 3.5, and then you can make a note, like you'll have what you'll have left over from that sheet of paper. Okay, so if you want, you can do that. So 2.5. It really matters when you're trying to get the most out of your paper to think about these kinds of things, like where's my first slice? You know, what's going to be the first cut? Because that kind of determines the success of how much you get. So now I can take my ATC stacks and add them to my other ATC stacks, and it's just nice to have some variety. And then these, I think, would be great. A lot of sketches even call for, you know, different sized squares. Like if I look at Kendra's card challenge, let me look real quick. Yeah, there's like 2x2 squares just on the first page that you cut. So you could always take that and cut it down. You could put a sentiment on it. There's just so much you could do with it. And when you store it, you could keep it like in a little box, and you can put, you know, what size it is so you don't have to think about it. You could put a 2.5-inch square. Okay, let's just do some more. I have so much paper. I'm going to do one more and then we'll move on. So 2.5. ATCs are so much fun. So I have been keeping this little stack of ATCs on my card or on my desk. Like I said, so the other day it was so handy. I didn't have to stop and cut the paper. I just already had it cut. I just had to grab a piece and then use my scraps from the projects I was making at the time. And then I had an ATC card made. And they're just really fun to pop in cards to share with friends or trade. If you go to a crop and you go to an in-person, you can trade with someone. Okay, so ATC cards. be a great way. You could go through and cut this whole paper pad like that, and you'd have just a whole stack to work with. Now, this piece is not really my favorite piece of paper in the world. I just struggle to know, what do you do with this exactly? I mean, I think if you were scrapbooking in a 6x6 scrapbook, then you could put a picture there and it makes sense for scrapbooking, but for card making, not as much. I mean, you have a few options. This is a really thick paper and it's single-sided, so you could always use the other side. But I think this is also where you can do a Masterboard. So grab some of your scraps. Y'all have seen me Masterboard so many times, but you know, if I have the scraps, that means I liked the paper, so chances are I can just grab them and take this piece of paper and turn it more into something. I am grabbing, by the way, from this, which these two pieces don't belong in here. So this is something that where I put little scraps. Here, we'll put that in there. Just little bitty teeny tiny scraps I've been putting in here, you know, so I can use them if I want. This would drive some people nuts. Desiree, would this drive you nuts? I think it might. But you know, if it starts to drive me nuts, I can just throw it in the trash. But I don't think so. I like it. So let me move my cutting board because we don't need it for this part. So if you have some 6x6 paper like this piece and you're kind of like, pass, well, just cover it with your scraps. You're working overtime. Well, Natasha, it's not a bad idea. Me too. Me too, girlfriend. That's what I'll be doing when I'm done hanging out with you guys, is actually going to work. I know, the collective boo. But the overtime is a blessing. And the work needs to get done. What? Hey, Noni. How are you? Noni, are you Sarah's Noni? Or are you a different Noni? And I don't even have to say which Sarah. I mean, I don't think. Are you Sarah's Noni? Let's put this here. Hey, Delise. Hi, Sharon Caster. Hey, Flo. Hey, Tracy. So good to see you guys. Oh my gosh, I hope you're doing well. We are smashing 6x6 paper pads in different ways today. That's the goal. Now, I'm not going to cut this Masterboard up today because this video is not really geared towards like how many projects can we make with a 6x6 paper pad. It's more geared towards, let's think of different ways and different ideas and different projects to work on with our 6x6 paper pads. So I'm a 5x7 card maker. I just declare myself as one. Now I make all different size cards, especially now that I've fallen in love with 4-bar cards. But chiefly, by and large, I'm a 5x7 girly, which means 6x6 paper isn't necessarily where it's at for me when it comes to card making, which is why I became a paper maker. Is why I started my business and started making 6x8 paper, because I think it's better for 5x7 card makers. At least that's been my experience. However, we can still use it. I know Jess at Jess Crafts has a lot of sketches. I love Jess. For 5x7 card makers, I think where she uses 6x6, if I'm not mistaken. I've really only ever come up with one kind of formula, I guess two, but I haven't really, honestly, as many 5x7 cards as I make, I really haven't come up with a ton of ways. So I'm kind of excited when I get to use my 6x6 paper. I'm trying to use it up, like use it or lose it already, you know? But there, we have a Masterboard. I took a piece of paper I really wasn't crazy about, and I didn't know how I would ever use it. And I know I'll use this one. Like, I use Masterboards all the time. So, you know, now you can take this one 6x6 and do any of the projects that you want with it. And this is not everyone's cup of tea, but it's my cup of tea. So, Masterboard the pages that you aren't crazy about. Moving on. Let's make the project that involves the Stampington magazine. Let's do that. I'm just gonna see, this is another one that I would totally Masterboard this. So what I could do is come through this paper pad and go, okay, ooh, I like these. I think I'll use these in our next project that we're gonna make together. These here. All right, Masterboard. This one, Masterboard. I like most every single page in this, which is why I actually think I have two of them. Which is why I need to smash it. All right, there we go. So with more time, on my own time, I could sit down and Masterboard all these pieces that I will not use in my card making and turn them into something more like this that I will use. So I'll put those all together and I can paper clip those. And sometime when I want to be in the craft room, but I don't feel terribly creative, I could come in and just Masterboard these with my scraps. There we go. Okay, next project is kind of fun, and I think we're actually going to go ahead and cut more of these down into that ATC card size, but we're gonna make a deck of like self-care or mindfulness cards, and it'd be a great gift to give yourself or to give friends. So if you get into it, you can make a whole bunch of these. Sorry, the glue. I don't want to cut it, but I might have to trim that part off because it's just not coming off. Welcome, Valerie, to the glue crew. Woohoo! So glad you joined. Okay. Just gonna trim off this glue real quick. Okay, we are gonna cut these down to the ATC card size again, and that's just because, well, actually, okay, I'm gonna do this one because I've already started, but I will do them a different size. 2.5. Okay. I'll do them a different size. Put those with my ATCs. Let's do, I'm gonna grab another one of those sheets. I really like that color, that paper. I just need, Ooh, I like this one too. Hold on, I'm being selective about my color palette here. There it is. I think all 4 of these are really beautiful together. So grab 4 sheets. Now, because this is on a thick cardstock, you don't have to worry about backing it, but maybe if it's on a thinner one, you might want to think about that. And then depending on what you want to put on the back of these, you know, you might want to, that might double them up. Like if you come up with your own kind of printable to print out some of these prompts or something like that. Okay, so we could do squares, but I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to do 3x4 cut aparts. So these are scraps, but we may end up incorporating these into our project, okay? So let's do, we're doing 3x4s here. Let's go ahead and cut this to 4 and then cut it to 3. It's more efficient that way. And we'll have a bigger scrap, which is fun. Okay, so we'll cut to 4 and then we'll cut to 3. Less slices. Hey, Karen McCoy. How are you? Good to see you. And Miss Norma. All y'all saying hi to each other. You're so sweet. All right. I think that's enough. That's enough to get us started. So we got 2 from each sheet. We had 4 sheets, so we have 8 cards now. And that's what these are going to be. What we're going to make is, and I like that they're 3x4. I'm glad I went with that size. Now, you could make any kind of deck you want to make. Like, what if you have friends who are scrapbookers or card makers or, you know, crafters in general, you could take your 6x6 paper, cut them to these 3x4s, and then add prompts for like card making. Like, so we selected 4 patterns, right? So we have 2 of each. You could cut up as many of them as you wanted, and all the same pattern could be for different things. So kind of like craft roulette is like project, color, element, random. You could make yourself kind of like a craft roulette deck of cards, and you'll know what you're pulling based on the pattern color if you have enough paper, or you could tab them in some way as well. And you could pull by the different selections. So you could make one of these like a crafty one, and you would have endless prompts. If you go to Craft Roulette's website and you go through Mary's prompts, you know, you see all of her prompts, all the things that Mr. Wheel has selected over the years, and you can make yourself like a little deck of cards and randomize your card making, or make your, if you have a friend who's loves craft roulette, you can make them a craft roulette deck of cards. The one we're going to make today is not that. We are going to bring back this Bella Grace, and we are going to make like a mindfulness deck of cards. So here's one, like this magazine is so incredible because it has all these different lists. Let me cover up my glue. We don't want that getting clogged. That just frustrates me. Hold on. That's right, Flo. That's exactly right. Any day above dirt is a good day to craft. 100%. I think you should craft every day, personally. That's why I wake up at 5 a.m. All right. 32 ways to be captivating. Be a devoted listener, welcome solitude, express gratitude, consent to being vulnerable, ask questions, embrace change, don't take yourself too seriously, hold up your boundaries, be ambitious, blah, 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 blah. And the list goes on and on. So you can make a deck of cards and you could title it 32 Ways to be Captivating and just write. You could write it either on the front, like be a devoted listener, and then on the back, make it like a journaling space where they can write about being a devoted listener, or you could write about it. Or if you decorate the front really cute and you don't want to put be a devoted listener on it, then put it on the back. You could put it back here. You could maybe put like be a devoted listener and then list the ways that you could be a devoted listener. That's just one idea. Let's keep going because there's a list in here. 15 gestures of appreciation. You can make one, a deck of cards that was gestures of appreciation. You can make your own one, you know, make it anything you want. We're not going to get into apps, but you could do that if you want. There's one in here about the ordinary that I really liked. Here's another list. Champagne for no reason, tiny lamps in dark corners, and stroll through Provence. Provence, sorry. My work brain kicking in. This one has some really nice ideas too. Floating a gardenia blossom in water and anticipating the scent, analyzing contrail designs and wondering about the passengers above, which is like the snail lines that they leave, hearing about the marvelous book and finding it the same days, collecting miniature books printed on handmade paper. So it's just like just little random things. Relishing the need for the first fall sweater, reminiscing about the origin of old matchbooks, peering into the sweet, tiny eyes of a field mouse. Okay, so I've given you guys some ideas about, and this was just from this one, you know, edition of Bella Grace, but they always have lists. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. I would like to use probably this list. And you don't have to do all 36. You could pick out the ones that appeal to you. And this one is 36 glimmers on an ordinary day. Cuddling with your pet, finding the perfect parking spot, putting on soft furry slippers, the smell of freshly cut grass, running into an old friend, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, morning quiet time, children's laughter, an unexpected hug, the pitter patter of rain. I love this list. I loved this one. So I think it'd be a really fun way to take your 6x6 paper and make a deck of cards, whether you want craft roulette cards, you want artsy cards, or if you want mindfulness cards, gratitude cards, blessings, scriptures. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on and on. And you could decorate these with your ephemera and stamps and all of your fun bits. So let me see. I'm just looking at my scraps over here. Oh gosh, they're falling all over the place. you know, you can just grab when you make your own deck of cards, again, just using your scraps or whatever you have. And then this is one of the ones where I was saying you could have like a tab if you wanted them tabbed. You could put tabs at the top. Let's just decorate one. Ooh, I want some faux tape on it. Like, not faux tape, faux vintage tape. I am going to make a list, you guys. I need to start it. I need to make a list of all the things you can do in your craft room when you're not feeling inspired, but you feel like crafting. And one of them is just to sit down and make a bunch of faux vintage tape for yourself, because that's something I need to do. Okay, what do y'all think about the deck of cards from your 6x6 paper? It's too wet. Got my finger in there. Will y'all do it? Do y'all think you will do it? I think they would make an adorable gift for a friend, to make them a deck of cards, you know, and it's handmade. I'm going to make a deck for myself. If you don't think your friend will appreciate it, just make it for yourself. Sonia Krill, Debbie J, Chris. Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing? We're smashing 6x6 paper today, giving some different ideas of smashing 6x6 paper. In case you're wondering, what is she doing? Whoops. I just rammed that into my peel-offs. I'll just use one of them. Peeled it right off. And it's kind of, you know, I can imagine like getting a little lost in the process of making 12 cards. So let's grab, half of them are on the floor now, but I have these little labels from the 4 seasons. And let's pick something to put on there. I really need to mark that page of the 36 Ordinary. It has to be short. Let me find a short one. An Unexpected Hug is what I chose. And then we can pop this up the top if we want. I'm gonna glue that part on the back and this part on the front, I think. Just kind of sandwich that on there. Or maybe I'll glue them both, because I think this one goes to edge of the card. And that's just serendipitous. That was not planned. These are my scraps. And you can put much smaller tabs. Maybe you have a tab punch. Maybe you don't. You could sew on these. You can make these from watercolor. But the idea is to smash our 6x6 paper pads. But it's kind of fun because I'm smashing my scraps too. So you can make a whole deck of cards with sweet ideas, crafty ideas, scriptures, whatever you want. And then I know you could just package them up so cute, tie them up with twine, and give them as a gift. Hey, Bethany. About the lace paper punch you used the other day from Etsy. Oh, $36. Oh my gosh. Sharon. I mean, I'm not judging, girl. I would never, but yeah, those Martha Stewart punches are no joke. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have lots of fun with it and you get to make lots of paper lace. And you treated yourself. So way to go. Right? Hey, Maddie. Okay. These are my scraps from that. Now, I was saying that we could probably incorporate this into the design, and I'm sure that you could. You could keep it really simple, and when you cut these to 3x4, you always get these pieces left over. Then you could also put a label on here for whatever it is that you want that card to say in your deck of cards. I'm just not going to get lost in making these cards right now because this video is not about that. But deck of cards, ATC cards. All right, let's do some more. Now, I did a video at the beginning of the month for Smash Your Stash. What it's called Paper Stash Smash. And we did mini slimlines. So you could totally make, and I made my card bases, mini slimline card bases. Another idea, let me grab a few. 1, 2, 3. Let me grab some that I think kind of can stand on their own. Oh, maybe we'll do 2 of each. See, we're going to smash this paper pad, y'all. All right, we're going to use those for... And when I started, this was full, brand new. We peeled the sticker off together. So, all right. This is going to be a little too easy, but don't let me lose you on this one, okay? I'll tell you why. A2 cards are considered note cards. And if you've ever been to Target and gone down their stationery aisle, I used to buy them all the time before being a card maker. I used to have a whole drawer full of them. I was such a sucker for note cards. I've always liked stationery. I had no idea I was a card maker for so long, but we're just going to make a set of note cards. I know, I said don't let me lose you on this. But talk about like simple card making. This is really going to dial it back for us. We're going to have all these fabulous scraps. And I love a good like 2-inch by 6-inch scrap of paper. You can do so much with these. They just make me happy. But we're going to do some real simple card making here. And we're going to make a set of note cards. So this kind of dives back into like making maybe gifts for others. So I've got some A2 card bases. These are on a little bit thinner paper. This is not my typical 100-pound or 110-pound paper. Aw, good job, Sharon. But hey, don't beat yourself up. I mean, look, you bought a tool. And what's cool about that tool that you bought, Sharon, is that now you can have paper lace in any color you want. Mm-hmm. And you can have a six-inch piece of paper lace, or you can have a 12-inch piece of paper lace. Depending on how long you cut your paper and how many times you punch it out. So you bought a really useful tool. And I cut one of my papers wrong. That's okay, we'll fix that. Let me tell you guys too, and because I don't want to lose y'all on this project. When I do craft fairs, I make a whole bunch of these note cards, just plain note cards. I just take my 6x6 paper and I do exactly what I'm doing right now. And then I pair them with envelopes and I package them cute, like in a box with twine, and they sell. They sell. People like plain note cards because it's what they're used to. It's what they do find when they go to Target and they go down the stationery aisle, you know? And so don't get too hung up in thinking that when you're a card maker, that you have to do 15 things to a card for it to be, you know, worthy. Now, I like doing 15 things to a card. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. That's why I've been doing it for so long, because it's fun. I'm going to turn it this way, but you don't have to. And if you're just trying to use up your stash and you're trying to bust through, like Miss Vicky, 7 6x6 paper pads in a month, don't overlook the ways that you can do that. And, you know, I always like to have, I have a shelf in my closet, in my bedroom closet. And on that shelf sits gifts, random gifts, so that when somebody's birthday pops up, when somebody comes that I haven't seen in a long time, when Christmas rolls around, for teachers, for whatever, I have a shelf and I have gifts, just random gifts that are ready to go. This would be such a great way to use up your paper and be able to start a gift shelf if you don't have one. And then you can take this paper and, you know, with the envelopes, one things you don't get with the Target ones is you don't get the envelope decorated. So then you could take your scraps and find a cute way to decorate the envelopes so that they coordinate with the paper. Miss Nikki Jane, hi. Hi, Cheryl. So good to see you guys. And you don't have to limit it to 4. Make them 10. I mean, you're trying to use up your paper. So make a whole group of them. I decided to do pairs. Another thing that you can do, let me show you. Got to dust it off. I have a box, okay? And in this box is just this exact thing. In this box, I've done this. I have all these like pre-made note cards. These are on card bases. They're A2. So this could be top folding or side folding or whatever. And this whole box is filled with my hair and some cards and envelopes. But I went through and I just smashed paper pads and I just put them, and I do like to keep the colors together. Like, look at this. There's a whole set right there, and each one could be different. And then I even already have envelopes in here, the A2 envelopes, so I can just grab them and be like, how many do I want to give this person? Also, if you keep these handy, and let's say you want to actually like turn them into something, you can keep these handy, like in your craft room in a box like this, and then you can come along and decorate them later. So you can come along later, and when you have die cuts or leftover scraps, again, just like the principle of how I'm using my ATC cards that I leave on my desk. And then when I have scraps, I make an ATC card, right? Then you can do the same thing with these note cards. You can just keep a box, and then when you have scraps, you can turn them into something. I even have Christmas in here. Just anything. Okay? So, take that 6x6 paper and cut it up, girlfriend. Hey, Angie. Hey, Dawn. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it, we're going to cut it up. And I actually have these in there just to remind myself. Like these little 2-inch pieces of scraps. I mean, it doesn't take much. So you could put this at the top of the card, throw on, grab your punches, punch out some leaves, cut you some banners, put a sentiment on it, and you could just make a whole heap of cards like that. All right, so those are some ideas. Of course, I feel like I could go on all day long with more ideas, like grab yourself a sketch. That's not a sketch. You call that a sketch? Here's a sketch. Grab a sketch, and with the sheet loads, you always get to find out how many there's going to be on it, how many you're going to make. 6. That's not a sketch. 6. So, you know, that's always another way. I love also Kendra's. So you grab 6 sheets, 6x6 sheets of paper, and you get 15 cards. Bam. There is an excellent way to smash your 6x6 paper. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I told you I was going to try to keep it to an hour. Catching a cold. Nobody has time for a cold. You're right about that, Debbie J. And I'm sorry. I will send you good vibes. I'll even send you prayers. Absolutely. What's going on with Delise? What's going on, y'all? Delise, I'm a hot mess if I don't sleep, and I did not sleep last night. I think that's another reason it's a good idea for me to keep this live a little constrained time-wise, because your girl was not sleeping. My husband was up sick, and when he's like, well, I'll just leave it at that. My husband was up sick. I don't need to gross anybody out. Bless his heart. So I was up with him, and I finally fell back to sleep. And my son, you guys, he's, 14 and a half. So I keep getting excited about teaching him how to drive. But in my dream last night, we were driving to Dallas, and I was like, oh my gosh, don't follow that truck so closely. Because if you don't drive on 35, you might not know, but it's like semi-city, just semi-trucks everywhere. And so I had just fallen asleep. I'd only been asleep about 20 or 30 minutes and was dreaming about my son driving. And I was like, he woke me up. I was like, this time I'm glad you woke me up. A hockey game? That sounds fun. Oh my gosh, my husband was showing us a hockey game the other night between America and Canada. Oh, it was intense. It was intense. Okay, so recap. We're going to cut up these paper pads. I didn't get through the whole thing in this video, but I really just wanted to like give you ideas. Make sets of note cards. Make sets of cards that I'm going to make me a craft roulette version. I think I'm going to make a craft roulette deck of cards. But also I want some self-care ones. And if no one's giving you an unexpected hug, go give somebody else one. It counts. If you're like, aw, I drew unexpected hug and no one's given me an unexpected hug today, go give somebody else one. I'm that kind of girl. When I want something in my life, I just do it. I just go for it. I don't wait for somebody else to come along and give me the unexpected hug. I'm like, unexpected hug. I'm going to go get me one of those and I'm going to go out and get one. So if you make yourself a deck, go for it and make a self-care one, make a gratitude one, make one with scripture cards, make as many as you want. You can make a ton of them out of this. Make yourself some ATC cards and keep them on your desk. And it's a great way to use up your scraps. And then if you're like, oh my gosh, I have 100 ATCs and I don't know what to do with them, go put them around town and leave them for people to find and brighten someone's day. Give it to the girl who sacks your groceries, or the guy who changes your oil, or the postman who delivers your mail every day. There's somebody to bless. You can get rid of a stack of ATC cards faster than you think. Right, Sonia? Oh my goodness. Well, you guys, I had fun hanging out with y'all. I hope you enjoyed these very basic ideas about how to smash a 6x6 paper pad. I have others on my channel. Like, we've made a lot of 6x6 journals. We've made like pocket journals. We've made flip-flop journals. I'm like looking around, twisting my neck. Where's that flip-flop journal at? Yeah, anyways, I've made flip-flop journals with them. You can make a journal that's no-sew. There's lots of ideas. Check out Pink Strawberries here on YouTube. And she has a ton of 6x6 things. You can do one-sheet wonders. There's so many ways you can use them up. I have been toying with a journal style, a no-sew journal style, where you just score the page and glue it in. And so this is one that I made and I'm just kind of playing with, and I haven't done a video on it because I'm not sure how much I like it. But I was just trying to make something no-sew. But you could totally do that with these. Just score it like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, glue them all together. There's a million things. There's a lot of ways. Just get in there and cut it up. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Flo. Oh, yeah. Ooh, that sounds fun, Dawn. I'm thinking I should paint on my memory decks cards. Oh, thank you for saying that, Dawn. Another idea is just to take, you know how I separated this pack and I just went ahead and tore all the pages out. You could sit and just die cut all day long. You could just sit here, grab a die. Maybe you grab a big one like these hexagons. And you could just sit and die cut and die cut and die cut and just have a bunch of like patterned paper die cuts. It'd be really great too with the single-sided paper, because let's say you do a bunch of die cuts and you're like, oh, that doesn't really match my project, but I really want that die. You got this other side. You could always ink blend this to match your project. So that would be I would definitely do die cutting with single-sided paper, I think. But yeah, endless ideas. Hey, Beckon. Hi, Heidi. I don't know if your package has arrived yet, Heidi, but I'm sure it's on its way. Well, I know it's on its way. I'm just not sure if it's there yet. Well, I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. This hot mess is signing off. I've got work to do, but I'm so glad so many of you came along for this and patiently waiting. Oh, you're cut from the same cloth, huh? I hope you're feeling motivated and inspired to use your paper. And if you don't have any 6x6 paper, then go to the size that you do have, that you might have like copious amounts of, and just start chopping it up. There's so much to do, and it's always more fun when you're making things for others. So I know like it's so tempting to leave the pretties on our shelf, but I promise you, if you get it out and craft with it, you get the therapy of crafting with it. Then you get to give it away, and then somebody else gets to enjoy it and love it. And it's just like the ripple effect just keeps going. So we got to get those lovelies off the shelf and cut them up. Oh, I'm so glad, Valerie. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. I have a video coming out tomorrow that is part of the Kendra's Card Challenge. It's a hop, and it's going to be so much fun. So there will be a video for y'all tomorrow. It's not a live, but I will be back live with y'all on Monday. Yeah, if we cut it up, we get to buy more paper. That's right, Beckon. All right. I love you guys so, so much. Have a blessed and wonderful weekend. Thank you for spending time with me. I know you could be anywhere, but you're hanging out with me and all these beautiful people in the chat, and I totally appreciate it. And I know that they do too. Bye, everyone.